Welcome to this episode of the Smart Leaders Sell podcast. I'm Jess, Lorimer, sales coach and leadership expert, and I am really excited to dig down into today's episode. Oh my goodness, poddies, the day is finally here. It is post 30th birthday time, and I'm assuming I'll have my first ever hangover today. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, who knows. But it's also a very exciting week. Last week we had the 5 steps to 5k challenge. I love challenges. I get incredibly excited about it, and it's the first time that we are launching the 5k roadmap. Woo, woo, woo. So if you haven't seen the 5k roadmap yet and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I want the easy way to hit 5k in my business and create consistent 5k months, then you need to go and check out the roadmap. Head into the link in the show notes. It's right at the top. You can go and check it out, and you have until Friday to see whether you would like to join us. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out, jessica@jessicalorimer.com. I will even get back to you tomorrow. I'm not going to say I'm going to get back to you today, because today I am hopefully curled up, with Coco, watching Netflix and, doing my general thing. But Team Jess are on hand to answer any questions, and I will be back in the office tomorrow, making sure that if you do have any questions about the 5k roadmap, that I help you out. Now, the 5k roadmap has been designed. It's a 6-week sprint. You get lifetime access, and it is designed to help you make that first 5k or make an extra 5k within that kind of 6-week period. It takes you through the steps that you need, and it gives you practical, actionable tips and tricks to do it, gives you templates to do it, and it obviously gives you my support as well. So I'm very, very excited about it. It's actually one of the lowest ticket offers that I have out there at the moment. So if you're thinking, oh, I really need something to just get me over the line, I don't want to spend tons and tons and tons, make sure you go and check it out. I am genuinely so excited about it. We've had some incredible people already sign up, and that always makes me excited. Now, obviously, I'm talking about people already having signed up, and we all know that I batch my content. However, I want to be very, very transparent. Before I sell anything, I always release it to a limited amount of people before the general public sees it. And so we already have about 5 people at the time of recording this who have already purchased the roadmap and who are raring to get going and raring to make money over the next 6 weeks. So if that is you, if you're looking at adding 5k to your revenue or to head towards that 5k month, all elusive, make sure that you are in with us, that you are participating in the 5k roadmap. It's super, 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 super awesome. You will make money, and it will all be very, very exciting. Okay, so today's episode it's an interesting one, and actually it's been inspired by some of the conversations I've been having with my friends recently. I don't know whether you guys know, you probably don't, but I recently paid my tax bill. Woohoo! I don't get particularly excited about paying tax bills, by the way, but I do like my accountant. He's a very nice man. And we got to having a chat about, the real costs of running an online business. And, one of the interesting questions that's been coming up for me, or not questions recently, but one of the interesting discussions that has been coming up for me recently with my biz besties, with some clients of mine, with my accountant, is the real cost of running an online business. Because when we start out, we kind of get told that running an online business is so much easier than running a brick and mortar because the costs involved are not as high. And that is true, right? To a certain degree. And, when we're starting out with an online business, obviously we're not paying for premises. We're not usually paying for staff. We're not usually paying insurance for those staff or tax for those staff. In some cases, we're not having to pay even for very basic things. If you go and work in your coffee shop forever, they've probably got free Wi-Fi. I'm saying this, and Starbucks and Costas everywhere are like, what? Don't tell people about our free Wi-Fi. Do not send them here. Do not pass go. But yeah, it's one of those things. It is a well-known fact. Starting an online business has lower startup costs than any other business venture that you might take on. But here's the thing. As time goes on, the real costs of running that business actually change. And I think we need to be a little bit more open to understanding how your business grows and how your business actually looks and the costs associated with running that business as it starts to get more profitable. Because one of the interesting things is that as you start to make more money, your business actually costs you more money. And I know that that sounds really basic and everyone's like, well, obviously, Jess, obviously when I hire a team, I'm going to be spending more money. But we don't actually always understand at each level what that really looks like. So I've spent a couple of days popping together how my business has changed over time and the kinds of costs that are associated at each stage, just so that you can get a bit of an idea of what this might actually look like for you and what you can expect, what's normal, what's not normal. And so you can learn from a few of my mistakes, because there have been definitely times where I've spent a lot more money than I've needed to, or a lot more time and energy than I've needed to on things that, you know, were fine, but ultimately didn't work out in the way that I wanted them to. So if you're somebody who's taking that next step, perhaps you're hiring your first team member, or you're starting to think about taking on a designer, or you're going to work, you know, with a new VA or something like that, just stick with me and let's navigate the kind of sometimes crazy waters together. All right. So I'm going to break this down to revenue level, because I think it's much easier to see in that way. And, you know, when you're making zero in your business, so if you are one of the people out there whose business is not yet making money, then your costs are lower. Okay. And your costs are lower because obviously the one thing that you probably don't want to do is spend money. And as we all know, we have three things that we can use to build our business. We have time, we have energy, and we have money. So at the point your business is not making any money, we spend time and energy on it. That's what we use to build it. So instead of investing in paid traffic, we invest our time perhaps posting in Facebook groups, or creating social media content, or encouraging people to join our email lists and selling to them there. We don't go out and hire team members. We don't go out and, you know, do anything else that is going to cost us money, because obviously then that would put us in a deficit, right? So at this point of your business, actually, this is simultaneously the toughest and funnest part of your journey, right? Because you're not having to pay anybody else to do anything. It means you're doing everything yourself. It means that you are getting a really good understanding and overview of what it actually means to work inside your business. You're most likely pretty stressed because you're learning new tools, you're using the free versions of all of those things, which sometimes can make it a little bit more challenging. At this point in time, all you actually want to be investing in is an email autoresponder. I recommend ActiveCampaign. There are many, many reasons why, and we will include a link to the resources page on my website so you can see exactly why I talk about ActiveCampaign as being the best email autoresponder. So you'll invest in the email autoresponder. It could be, you know, $9 a month from ActiveCampaign. It could be free from something like MailChimp. They each have their pros and cons, okay? You will also need access to social media, because if you have time and energy, then it's quite likely that you're going to be spending your time on a social platform to generate your leads. You are also going to need the internet, because working in an online business is a little challenging if you don't have Wi-Fi. And you'll obviously need your passion for producing quality content. Right. And that's it. That's pretty much all you need to get set up with an online business. You have time, you have energy, it's all going great guns. And any money you make, you know, let's be clear on this, because you're likely working a fair amount of hours, you're probably not paying yourself tons. Any money that you make is technically profit, but we do have to take out those labor costs, and you might want to take out like your internet cost, your email autoresponder cost, and obviously the cost of just working from home, electric, heating, etc. Then as we start to move up again, as we're making, you know, 5K a month, this is where, you know, it gets a little bit interesting, because it's where you start to experiment with paid tools. You know, you've got profit coming into the business, it's consistent, you're thinking, okay, this isn't so bad. Like at this point, you're paying yourself. So that's good. It doesn't matter how much, but you need to make sure that you pay yourself. And again, you're not investing in huge teams at this point. You're not, you know, if you make 5K a month for a whole year, like you're probably not paying that much tax on it either, which is great. And at this point, you might decide to invest in a couple of things. Okay. Now, I want to be clear here as well. When you're making zero in your business, it's still likely, even if you're not investing in like teams and that kind of stuff, it's likely that you will invest in coaching. or that you will invest in a course or service or program. Let me give you a little bit of friendly advice here. When you are making a lower amount, so when you're making less than 10K a month, do not make those decisions. Like, do not make decisions about what resources you use or purchase based on what everybody else is doing. Because this is one of those stages in your business where actually it doesn't always help to buy a generic course or program. And there are a few reasons for that. One is that when you're newer to business, it's actually very, very difficult to tailor resources to yourself. So unless programs have a high component of like one-to-one access or live support or things like that, it can be quite challenging for you to be self-motivated enough, if we're honest, to complete it. And it can be quite challenging for you to actually tailor that experience to your own business on your own and troubleshoot. It's one of the reasons that the courses that I run for business owners who are newer to the space or who are just trying to make like their first 5K or things like that, it's one of the reasons that we do include more access to me, because we want to make sure, you know, through group calls, through having Facebook group support and stuff, that people are able to tailor those experiences as much as they can so they get the best results. So when you are at that 0 a month level, or when you're at the 5K a month level, don't go out and just buy some massive £2,000 course that's generic, that doesn't involve support. Think about what you actually need. Okay, so think about, what's my key goal right now? Is it cash flow? If it is, go and buy something on sales. If it's, you know, visibility, go and buy something about marketing. If it's, you know, you feel like you struggle to sell, or you've got a mindset issue, go and invest in something that helps you solve that problem. There is no right or wrong at this stage, but I would urge you always, like, the less money you're making, the more you need to focus on sales. Okay, it is important. And I don't say that just because I'm a sales coach. I say that because you have to focus on your biggest problem first. And a business that doesn't make money is a very expensive hobby, right? And it will kill it over time. So that's my friendly top tip for the day. Always make sure you're purchasing or investing in programs or services that are right for the level that you're at, and that give you the support that you actually need, and that focus on the problem you really want to solve. Okay, so as we get to 5K a month, like I say, we can start investing in a few other things. Now, at this point, I made the mistake of not listening to my own advice, and I went off and bought a bunch of generic programs. And in my first year in business, I spent over £8,000 on courses and things that I did not use, did not get any results from, all entirely my fault. I did not put in the effort required, because guess what? There was not a live support function for most of them. They didn't have the accountability that I needed at that stage. And these were really passive products. Okay, I also spent money on coaches and other things. So I spent a lot of money in my first year in business. Did I get results from all of it? No. Did I do the work to get results from all of it? No. Am I somebody who needs extra accountability? Yes, 100%. I recognize that about myself. I'm okay with that. And as a result, it's helped me make different decisions over the years. Even if something's more expensive now, but it promises to give me a high level of accountability and support, I'm going to do it, because ultimately I know myself well enough that if I buy something that is passive, it doesn't end up making it into my priority list. Okay. So at 5K a month, you're probably investing in maybe a paid tool. So maybe you've upgraded your email autoresponder from free to paid. Maybe you have upgraded your account on Canva from free to paid because you want easy resizing. Maybe it's especially if you're working a lot one-to-one, maybe you've hired a VA for 5 to 10 hours a month because you want them to put together contracts for you, or you want them to, you know, help you with graphics or things that you're going to use on social media. And so that 5K a month mark, you know, you're not necessarily investing, and I certainly would not advise in investing in paid traffic, but you are seeing your costs going up. You're seeing, you know, perhaps adding to a team cost. You are maybe adding a software cost. Perhaps you're even, you know, having your first branding photos taken, and you're adding that cost to your business. Okay, so at this stage, you will see your expenses go up, and you might see your profits take a little bit of a dip. And that can be scary, because we've just spent a bunch of time not making any money. And so we're kind of sat there like, oh my goodness, like, now I'm making money, but we're also having to spend it. And this is perfectly normal. It's perfectly natural. You cannot get to another level in some cases unless you do those things. But again, it's about being wise about those decisions. When you don't have tons and tons and tons of profit to play with, you need to make even better decisions. And I say that as somebody who has been burnt very, very regularly and who has learned this lesson many, many times and has finally got to the point of being like, right, no, I need to really think about that. Okay. So at the 5K mark, you are going to see your expenses rise. It can be a little bit disconcerting, but you need to make sure that you're raising those expenses with things that can actually benefit you, that can help you go to that next level. So whether that's saving time through VA, whether it's upgrading software so that it makes your life a bit easier to sell, whatever that looks like for you. All right. And then we get to the kind of 10K a month mark. And this is where it starts to get a little bit interesting, because when we get to 10K a month, if you've followed me for a while, you'll know we talk about how to sell programs and products and services. And I always say, start off with high ticket, high transformation, because it's going to be easier for you to sell and it will take the same amount of time but make you more money. And as we start to get into this kind of 10K a month space, that's when you're, launching group programs. It's where you're potentially launching like high volume, low ticket offers. You might launch your first membership site at this stage, but it's also where you require more of an audience. Okay. It's actually very easy to make up to 10K a month with a very small audience, because if you're selling high ticket, high transformation, you don't actually need that many people. You might sell one-to-one work with you for, let's say, £2,000. All you need is 5 of them, and that's 10K done. All right. I'm not saying that that's the sustainable plan. I'm not saying you could take on 5 clients every single month. Obviously you do other things, but you don't have to have a huge audience to get to that level. At the 10K a month time though, actually you do need to build your audience. There needs to be a clear focus on building your audience so that you can make more money over the longer term, and ultimately so that you can sell more stuff to more people. All right. Now, this is where it starts to get tricky, because there are 2 things that we can look at when we start looking at audience building. We can go down the organic route. So we can go down organic social media. I have some phenomenal friends who are great examples of doing incredibly well with organic traffic. If you don't follow Janet Murray, go and look at her Facebook business page. She gets tons of engagement over there. And she's a prolific content creator, and she does incredibly well with organic traffic because she's present and she's able to understand the strategies that ultimately are going to help bring her more people organically. You can also choose to be lazy. I'm lazy. We all know this. We can dress it up as smartly to sell, but really it's like the lazy girl's guide. I went for paid traffic at this stage. For me, I didn't want to have to learn a ton of new stuff. I wanted to be able to cater to my audience in a different way. And so at this point in my business, this is where I started experimenting with very basic funnels, like admittedly very basic, but I went down that paid traffic route. How can I increase the audience that I'm building in the quickest way? And for me, that was about paid traffic. Now that's because I don't enjoy spending a ton of time on social media. All right. I don't enjoy that. So I made my choices based on who I am as a person, what I like to do in my business, and what was going to be easiest and most convenient for me. So at this stage, you can decide what you want to do. All right. You can decide to go down the organic route, and that won't cost you money necessarily, or it might cost you money if you choose to buy a course that teaches you how to do it. Or you can choose to go down the paid traffic route. Now that will cost you more because you'll need to hire an ads manager or somebody who can really help you monitor it properly. And obviously you'll need paid traffic spend as well. Okay. So at this stage, your expenses do go up. And at this stage, again, you probably will be adding to your team if you haven't already. So you'll see those costs go up. You might also start to think about implementing some branding elements to your business, or you might be considering your first website. So at this stage in my business, I was making 10K a month consistently. That's when I actually started. I think that's when I actually got my first website designed professionally by somebody who was not me, who could actually use WordPress. And, you know, back in the day, I paid about £1,500 for this website. And then I paid for a bunch of the stuff that had to go through it and things like that. But I remember it being a big purchase. I remember sitting down with my mum and being like, yeah, I think I'm gonna invest in this website. And she was like, you need to, like, it's your online home. If you don't invest in yourself, who will? You know, and paying that first installment and things, and was being like, oh my goodness, like I'm actually gonna have a digital home on the internet. And that can be, you know, it can be challenging. It can be a little bit
unnerving, because suddenly you're paying for stuff that is not necessarily going to contribute directly to making money in your business, right? You're contributing to things, or you're paying for things that are not on the periphery, but that aren't direct revenue generators. All right. When you're investing in courses at the 5K level, or coaching at the 5K level, or investments at the 5K level, generally they're all going to have some kind of ROI that is finance related. At the 10K level, you're starting to build more reputation in the market, you're starting to build more audience. These things will eventually, branding, these things will eventually lead to more money, but they're not instantaneous. They're not like the quick wins anymore. And so it is more of a longer term investment. My website, for example, we've been through 3 or 4 iterations of websites, currently terrible. I'm not bothered about it. We'll fix it in Q4 sometime. We're more focused on selling stuff and customer experience once they've bought stuff than we are on how that looks for now, right? But at this point in your business, like I say, your investments become longer term. Perhaps you're doing some one-to-one work with a coach. You might have bought a specific course that is going to teach you something specific, but the payoff tends to be longer, even with things like paid traffic, right? Even though it's the quickest way to build an audience, in some instances, you have to get up to speed. You have to work and brief your ads manager. You have to get used to communicating with them and looking at the reports and actually seeing what comes in for that. Okay. And then after that, your business at each stage, it has more and more costs involved. And, rather than go through, let's break down 15K and 20K, because I don't think that's necessarily all that useful. What we have to look at is, how does this impact our business? What does it actually look like? So if you were to run a 6-figure business, for example, maybe you are running your first event, right? Events cost a lot of money. Okay. So over time, as you decide and define, you find that actually the things you're adding in will have different costs. So events have high upfront costs, in terms of venues, in terms of hiring and paying speakers, in terms of if you're selling tickets on Eventbrite or something, you have to pay extra fees. If you are producing workbooks or goodie bags or anything like that, all of those things eat into the cost. And so events can be, yes, highly lucrative, but also massive drains on cash flow, right? Which is why a lot of people do not do them early in their business. And I think that's a good thing. I, highly recommend, if you're going to start your business, don't start out with events. You don't need to. It's a lot of money to pay up front, and it doesn't always pay off. Like, it's a big, big risk. But as you start to redefine your business model and think about what you actually want and what you want to build, you're going to come up against those costs. And I want to be very, very clear, like, some of those costs can be scary, and sometimes you will make the wrong decision. So last year, for example, I spent over £90,000. Yeah, £90,000 on team, right? Not all of those costs worked out. And some of those costs were as a result of having to fix problems that, had happened because of wrong hires. And we have to be open to that. As business owners, we have to accept at some point we make the wrong decisions. That is okay. It's not the end of the world. But making a wrong decision ultimately will cost you more money, right? So when you do make a hire, if it is the wrong one, if you just go with everyone recommended this person in a Facebook group, but you didn't actually do your due diligence, or you didn't actually interview them properly, or they performed really well at interview, but then they weren't great at the job and you didn't fire them early enough, it can end up costing you an awful lot of money in terms of that salary or that invoiced amount, and then obviously the money to fix it as well. So be aware of that. If you're hiring a team, make the right choices for you, hire the right people, and don't, we've talked about this on the podcast before. I've talked about hiring a team on the podcast before, but you don't always need to go with them having the perfect skill set. You do need to go with them having the right personality for your business, but don't go with somebody who's inexperienced, who's practicing on your business. Go with somebody who genuinely has the skills that you need, particularly if this is your first investment. As your business gets bigger, you can afford to take the time to train somebody. You can afford to spend the money on training somebody with your methods and the way that you want things done. But in the beginning, you need an expert, and it will eventually, even though it might cost you more up front, actually it will cost you less in the long run. You're getting the right things set up in the right way with the right people.
Okay. Another thing that I spent a load of money on last year was coaching. And people always say this, they're always like, but how long really do you keep being coached? And for me, the answer is forever, because there are always skills that I need to learn. And I always want accountability for myself. Okay. Now, it's interesting because I've made some incredibly bad coaching mistakes. And I'm not going to go into all of them, but here's the thing. At every stage, and I say this now and I follow this now, but at every stage of your business, you will want to learn a new skill. And sometimes everybody gets caught up in the sales process. I love a good sales process, so I'm forever buying stuff that I perhaps don't need and that perhaps, isn't even the right fit for me, but I really enjoy the sales process, so I just buy it anyway. Now, over the years, I've spent a lot of money on coaches who were not the right fit, both one-to-one and within group programs or masterminds. And I haven't always made the purchases that I needed at that time. Like I say, I've been caught up in sales processes. I've got very excited about things and then I haven't used them. Okay, so that's been my biggest mistake, either not hiring the right person, can we see a theme here, or actually, buying something that I needed. Okay, and in 2017 particularly, I had a year of hiring the wrong people or participating in the wrong programs. And I was burned by numerous coaches. Now, bear in mind, I was 2 years into my business at this point. My business was making good money. It was making profit. I was making these investments and, they weren't drops in the ocean by any means. There were mastermind programs that were in excess of £10,000. There were courses that were in excess of £2,000. There was one-to-one coaches and the rest, right? Do I let that stop me from being coached now? No, not at all. I look at those investments and unfortunately, I'm the sort of person who paid in full for every single one, not in that I made the full payment necessarily for all of them, but if I make an investment, I don't default on the payments. Like, that's my thing. I don't go in there and I'm not like, right, I'm going to default on this. It has to take a very high amount of bad customer service or just being sold something that completely is not the case for me to go and say, I'm not going to continue paying for that. Okay. But I made some very challenging investments that year. 2017 was a year that I spent an awful lot of money on coaching, an awful lot of money on the wrong people, and got burnt consecutively about 4 times. I think it was I was really hacked off that year. My biz besties will tell you I was consistently on like Voxer being like, what the hell? Here are all these people who can sell stuff really well but are just terrible at delivering to their clients. Right, we've all been there. Like I say, it does not stop me investing now, but it does make me a lot more diligent around knowing who I want to work with and actually doing background research, right? I research everybody that I work with now, whether it's my team or whether it's somebody coaching me or whether it's somebody whose program that I buy. And I'm very hot now on going through word of mouth, going through referrals. If I need anything, I reach out to my biz besties first and say, who do you know that can do this? Or who do you know that has a course on that? Or who do you know that I could work with? And generally that pays off for me better than going out and looking at the nearest Facebook ad and thinking, oh, well, who's doing that at the moment? Like, who's doing this cool stuff? So don't get caught up and think, oh, I never want to invest. Like, I never want to invest in myself. But do look at how can I be sensible about those investments, right? Don't go with the people who are like, if you don't invest in yourself, then your business is going to be terrible forever. That's not cool. It's also not true. Okay, I took 2018 because I'd been so burnt in 2017. I took 2018 off. I didn't buy anything. I didn't coach with anybody. I didn't buy any courses. I just stayed in my own lane. And, at that point in time, I listened to podcasts of people that I really like to follow. So I listened to Ali Brown's podcast every couple of weeks that it's out. I spent the whole year doing that. And then in 2019, I invested a significant amount of money with her because I'd spent a year knowing that, yes, this was the person that I wanted to work with. Okay. You do not have to spend a year doing that. Like I said, I'd been severely burned. I'd spent an awful lot of money and I needed that time out in my own lane. But it doesn't, you don't have to do that. You don't have to follow somebody for a year before you work out if you're going to work with them or not. Just be sensible. Do your due diligence. Like, does this person have regular testimonials? Or is it just them spouting on social media? I'm so great. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. or are they actually being talked about by other people? Are other people positively recommending them? Do they demonstrate that they get their clients results? Do they demonstrate they care about their clients? Do they actually have a background in whatever it is that they're teaching? Look for these things. They are important. And ultimately, and I know this, people always say, oh, but it's so easy for you to say, Jess, invest in the right thing for you. Don't invest in whatever's necessarily cheapest. Okay. So if it means I cannot afford to buy that course now, I'm going to buy it next time, do that. If it means I cannot afford to work with this person one-to-one right now, but I'm going to save up and make it happen, do that. And the reason I say this is not because I want you to not buy anything. Obviously, we want you to buy stuff, but we want you to buy stuff that's going to benefit you. And one of the biggest things that I've learned over the last 2 years is that there have been times that I've bought these courses and I've, bought into memberships and blah, 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 blah. Because I've not done anything with them, I've ended up paying a ton of money for something that didn't give me results. And then I've had to go and pay for the one-to-one support or the extra accountability or whatever that looks like later on anyway. And that can be really frustrating. So know yourself, know how self-motivated you are, know how much accountability you're going to need. And ultimately, don't feel forced or pressured into, quick decisions because it's there now. Think about, do I need this right now? Is this the next right step for my business? Do I currently have the money to invest, or am I confident that I'm going to get a quick ROI with this course? And if so, go ahead. But if you're sort of thinking, okay, well, latest Gurus program is out, it's going to be out next year and a whole bunch of affiliates are going to affiliate for it again, and I just might get better bonuses this time, don't make that put it on your credit card, right? Pick the right thing for you at the right time from the right person, okay? Also doesn't mean don't make investments that stretch you. I make investments that stretch me, I always have done, and generally they pay off, okay? You cannot be an entrepreneur and also be risk averse. They're two very, very different things. Okay. So we also have to look at, as our business grows, the real cost behind it. We have to look at, software costs, the things that actually go into running your business. So I use lots of different pieces of software. Again, we'll put the resources page in the show notes. You can go and check out exactly what I use. I use ActiveCampaign. I use ClickFunnels. I use my program for our website. I use a bunch of stuff just to make my life easier on a day-to-day basis. Okay. So your software costs do go up. The real costs of running a business, even an online business, do mean that as time goes by, you need to invest in more to keep that running, to make life easier for you, even if it's like contract signing software, if it's an internal tracking or project management system, it might be a CRM system to track where your customers are. It might be, software for your website to make it run better. There are lots and lots of different things that you can invest in, okay? But just be aware that those things will go up. And so as your business starts to make more money, it will also cost you more money, because obviously you need to be running it in the most efficient way. And that means getting external help. It means, using external resources. Just make it easier and more efficient for you. All right. And then finally, when we're talking about this, because, you might be thinking, oh my God, running an online business sounds expensive. And it is, okay? I want to be very clear. My current expenses per month for my team, for software, for keeping the business running, without any one-off costs, without things like, I don't know, having a photography shoot or, getting headshots done at an event or something like that. But, my regular monthly costs without those one-offs are about £9,000 a month, right? So before I make any profit in my business, I have to make £9,000 every single month. And, yeah, that sounds like a lot of money, but in comparison to how much my business makes, it's good. We have a really healthy profit margin, and all of those costs are things that directly contribute in some way, shape or form to either making my business more visible, helping it make more money, or helping me run it in an easier way. So team, software, and marketing efforts, right? Sales obviously is the bit that I can do myself. But this is the thing, as my costs have gone up over time pretty steadily. They've gone from being about £100 a month to host my website, to have an email autoresponder, and to have Wi-Fi. And they've gone up steadily from, that to £2,200 a month to £5,000 a month to 6,000 something pounds a month to ultimately £9,000. That's what it costs me to run my business every single month. And that is a lot. Okay, it is hard work, and it does mean that my team always needs to be paid first, because if we had a really terrible month, like, it's not fair that they don't get paid just because I didn't sell stuff. Okay, so the real costs of running business are not just the financial costs, it's also the mental capacity that it takes. My team always gets paid first without fail. They always do. If we had a bad month in business, the person who wouldn't get paid would be me. It wouldn't be them. All right. And, we do talk about this. And I was saying this to a friend of mine recently. We were talking about the pressure that can add on, right? We take the risk. As a business owner who hires other people, we take the risk. They don't, right? If we're paying them a regular salary, they're getting guaranteed income, they're not taking the same risk that we are. Okay, so you do have to think about this. It's not just about the financial costs. It's not just about the coaching costs. It's also about the mental capacity and the kind of business that you want to build. If you want to build a business where you have a team or where you have associates or anything like that, when it's a people cost, you also have the cost of your mental capacity, and there's a stress level involved there. Okay. The other thing is that you start to see that profit margins actually get higher on certain things. So for example, if you have a group program or you have a membership or subscription product or a physical product, your product margins go up over time. Even though your costs of your team and stuff go up, your margins go up because you've already created this. You've already created this group program. So cash creation today makes a lot more profit than it did when it first ran, because we run it slightly differently. Even though I've added in the cost of an external consultant, I have Heather Gray. She works with everybody on the course with mindset to make sure that everybody makes it through in an easier way for them. The content is already created. We don't change that. The things that I show up for now is to support people in the Facebook community, to make sure I'm there on the live calls and fully present and 100% in. So actually, the profit margins for that particular program have gone up, and it's less labor intensive for me. Okay, I'm not having to create anything, not having to think about what else I can do. The program is tested and tried and at its maximum efficiency point. Okay, and that's why you don't want to be selling things or selling brand new things every single week, because if you do that, you never get something to its maximum efficiency point. And what that means is that you always have a low profit margin on things that you launch, because it doesn't matter how much it costs. If the labor costs for you to actually deliver it and create it, etc., are included every single time you run something, your profit margins are actually quite low. Even though the revenue take home might be good, the profit margins are low because of the time and the effort and the labor that's had to go into it. Okay, so, when we are thinking about the real cost of running an online business, like I say, it isn't just about finances. It is about mental capacity. It is about labor costs. It is about how happy you are with your business. Are you actually enjoying running your business? Is it working for you? Is it giving you the lifestyle that you want? And also, is it paying off in the way that you expect, right? When we talk about the cost of running an online business, the real costs, I see people every day who come to me who are earning really good money through their business, but they hate it. It makes them work till late at night. It makes them miss out on time with their family. It makes them, post on social media on weekends. It makes them be reactive. They find it difficult to plan anything. They can't go on holiday. They can't rest in their mind because they're always on. And that's what they come to me to fix. Do not build that business, right? If you see something going in a way in your business that you don't like, change it fast. And I've made this mistake many times over the years, and I've talked about it pretty openly today, but in case you didn't get the message, right? Always make quick decisions. If a team member is not working out and you've had an honest conversation with them and you've tried to support them, they are not going to work out. Okay? It's not you. It's sometimes not them. It just is what it is. Instead of making it painful for everybody, just get rid. Okay? If you are part of a program that is not working for you, sorry, you don't necessarily get to default on the payments. Like I say, unless it's super serious and you've been sold something that is clearly not being delivered, you don't get to get a refund because you aren't motivated enough to sit there and do the course. And I've spent a lot of money on those courses over the years, so I feel your pain. But it doesn't mean that you get to stop paying. It doesn't mean that you get to get a refund, because ultimately it's not that person's problem that you didn't make the time or the effort, right? It's only their problem if they didn't provide something that was promised, okay? So don't buy things that you know you probably won't complete, or that you know that you don't have the self-motivation to do. Yeah. Just think about these things in business. You know, think about the real cost of running your programs. Think about, if you're launching something new every week, am I really getting it to maximum efficiency? Am I really getting it to the highest profit margins that I can through labor costs, through the cost that I'm paying my team to promote it? You know, am I reusing launch content, for example, so that actually I increase that profit margin even further? Those are the real costs associated with the online business. Yeah. Am I building the business that I want? And if you are not, change it fast. You know, don't be upset. Don't be afraid. Don't feel like, oh my goodness, I've made all these mistakes and and let me just beat myself up for a little bit about all the stuff that I've done. Instead, move forward quickly, understand what you want to change, and just do it. Okay. So hopefully that's been helpful. If you have enjoyed this episode, like I say, make sure you head over onto social media, tell me what your big takeaway was, or feel free to leave a review on iTunes. It does help me. It does help other people who are considering listening to the show. And, you know, it really does make my day when we get a new review. So if you have learned something today, make sure that you go over and do that. And like I say, if you are somebody who is looking to make your first 5K or add 5K in revenue to your business this month, make sure you come over and join us in the 5K roadmap. We are going to be starting really soon. It is going to be the easiest and quickest solution for you to make 5K. It is going to give you actionable tips, techniques, things, practical skills to learn to help you do it, and templates and proven strategies that have come not only from my business, but from the work that I've done with clients over the years as well. So hopefully I will see you on the inside. The link is in the show notes, and I will catch you this Friday for a very, very exciting episode with the lovely Leslie Gold. She is coming onto the show. She's talking about, she's got a really, really cool background in radio. She's one of the most successful radio presenters in the US, and she has some incredible stories to tell. So make sure that you tune in for that on Friday. I will see you then.